Welcome to the Soul Star Podcast with your spiritual besties, Ali and Mandy. We're here to make your spiritual journey fun, relatable, and inspiring. So let's raise your vibe and ignite your soul together.
Welcome back to the Soul Star Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode. We are so excited to introduce you to a special guest. We have Alex Stefan joining us. He is he trains in telekinesis, teleportation, and telepathy. And we're here to talk about how to hack the mind and techniques on how to accelerate our human potential. Alex, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks a lot, and lovely to be here with you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Go for it, Ali.
All right. So, I'm super excited about this. I've always been so curious about all of it. Like anytime I've come across it, I come across reels where people are like, moving, tinfoil or, all of those things. And it's just like grabbed my attention. And so then I'm obviously, like I told you, I came across your profile and I liked how just down to earth and that you were, and just how normalizing it in that sense. And that's something that Mandy and I like on this podcast. The whole reason that we started it was just to bring intuition, spirituality to people, to be like, guess what? Everybody can do this. It's not designated for a special few people in the world that we put on pedestals. And so that's where you related. I related to you in that aspect. So I'm excited to talk about it. But first, we'd love to know a little bit like what brought you to this point, because this is different. It's really cool and different.
It's new.
Yeah.
It is different. Before I start with that, I want to mention something that came to mind when Mandy, you introduced trainer of telekinesis, teleportation, telepathy. I remember one of the times when I was coming into the US, and it was the first or the second time when I was doing a training, and I was at border control, and the lady asks me, okay, so like, what are you doing here? And they're pretty easy with me because I'm Canadian, so I can get in easily. But
yeah,
I was like, oh, I'm here to deliver a training. And she's like, oh, cool, great. In what? I'm like,
oh no,
the best.
yeah. I stop and I'm like, telekinesis training. And I do like a big smile, and I'm like, and she looks at me and she's like, cool, great. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I never thought I'd be saying that either, but here we go. Here I am.
And even them believing you, right? Like you're at the border patrol, they can be quite intense. And so then like believing you in that sense.
Yeah, I'm thinking it must have been like, they must have been like, okay, this guy can't be doing something bad, because if he was doing something bad, he definitely would not say something like telekinesis trainer that he's coming in. Like this guy would be crazy if he'd be doing that.
Like what? I know, it's so true. I'm like, whenever anybody's like, oh, so like, what do you do in your business? And I'm like, you always get that like pause of like, well, it's just a little different. So it's like, and I love it. That's where we're going. That's where the collective's going. So that's so funny. That's cool.
Yeah. So a little bit about how I got here. Before I go into the the weird stuff, I'll say this. So my background, I got a business degree, and I got into finance, and I was very much a numbers guy. And then I got a master's in quantitative analysis, which is like a lot of statistics stuff. And then I got an MBA. So my background is very much numbers. I worked in finance. I worked in consulting. Then I did some entrepreneurial stuff. So the reason I'm mentioning this is I'm big on numbers, big on evidence, big on experimentation. But because of my background in statistics, that allows me to accept that anything is really possible, because in statistics, really anything is just what's the probability. It might be very small probability.
Yeah.
So that helped. Okay, now the weirder stuff.
That's what we're here for.
It started off when I was really young. I was very lucky that my parents they would go on to garage sales, which I'm sure you guys know, and for anybody else, it's like on the weekend. You know, you can buy like used stuff and whatnot.
Love garage sales.
Yeah, they're so fun.
Yeah.
While I was in the UK, there weren't any garage sales, which sucked. Yeah.
No way.
They had things like flea markets and stuff like that, so that was cool and other cool stuff. But no garage.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Lame.
I know.
Yeah. And I was very lucky that my parents they would buy books. They would buy a lot of books, and they would bring back books that were like on ESP, like extrasensory perception, and like magic stuff, and weird and cool things like that. And that stuff, I don't know. I was really interested in that stuff. And there was a book by Jose Silva. I think it was like the Silva Method. I don't think it was Silva Ultramind yet, and it was just a book. Are you guys familiar with Jose Silva?
No, but I'm writing his name down.
Back in the day, I think in the 60s, 70s, 80s, let's say. They were playing around with binaural beats, which are like beats on one ear, beats in the other ear, changes your brain, the brain waves.
Yeah.
And they found by lowering the brain waves, you go into alpha, and when you're in alpha, you can do some cool things, like your intuition is increased, and big stuff is increased, and all that stuff. So that was cool. I read the book. That was awesome. And then luckily, my parents stumbled across a CD set for training, and I went through that, and then that was cool. And I was playing around doing some remote viewing when I was young, and some healing and stuff through this training. And I was so lucky that they took me to a Silva Ultramind a weekend training when I was like 12.
No way.
Wow.
Yeah. So like I had this incredible exposure really early on, where we did remote viewing, where we did healing, where the trainer was talking about like his car wasn't working, so he did his thing, and he went into the engine with his intuition and then fixed the engine. Like,
I freaking love that.
Yeah, this is, if I didn't teleport objects, I would be like, no way. But my mind is different now, and I believe that. At the time, I was like, wow, really? So it opened me up a lot.
Yeah.
Were
your parents into that? Like, obviously they were open into, but was it like, were they like really?
Were they doing the training too?
Yeah. No, because we weren't too well off. We weren't well off, and it was an expensive training, so they just had me go.
That's amazing.
So cool.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, super lucky.
Yeah.
And my parents were into that sort of stuff, but not massively or anything. It was just like, open-minded.
Yeah.
Fast forward a few years, I did like Reiki training when I was like 15. So, a little bit with that a bit. And then I was 15 or 16 or something. I did my first like psi wheel and telekinesis because I saw it on a YouTube video, and it worked, and I practiced a lot, and that was cool. And yeah, it just like started then, and I got into hypnosis then as well. Like I was really curious about hypnosis because it's the mind, and what can you do with the mind. I got into NLP, which is Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which again is about the mind and what you can do with the mind, and like incredible things that you can like change your like self-development, like change your belief systems, change the way you think, just really stuff like that. It was always curious for me. And then I got into numbers, and then that screwed everything up.
I'm surprised you, like, the fact that in your teenage years you were like, because that's pretty impressive, like 15 getting Reiki, like that's just, yeah, we tend to not kind of be there at that age. And so I'm surprised that you were there at that age, and then you went off and didn't take something like psychology, but you went off to do numbers. That's such like a 180.
Well, because So my parents are Romanian. We came to Canada when I was 2, and I had immigrant parents, and obviously you have to go to school. You have to go to the best school for whatever to succeed in life and be able to have security and financial security and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, it detoured me from my passion.
Yeah.
That's
Isn't
because you were programmed to think that you had to go to do those things to be successful in life, even though on the a different level you were subconsciously knew that you didn't have to do that sort of stuff. So it's interesting that society programs you anyhow, even though you have this sense from a young age that you have so much power within your mind and your ability to do whatever it is that you want. But it just goes to show how powerful societal programs are, right?
Yeah, and that's actually the main thing that I am working to dismantle during our trainings. So it's exactly that.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, me too. That's crazy. I like that you say finance. So both Mandy and I work for a bank. So I'm like, oh, it seems to be like a trend, right? So our day jobs are, yeah, into finance. The day jobs at the bank, and then do all this stuff afterwards. So, it's fine. It's the 3D part, and then the stuff that we're passionate about. So, yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Jeez, it's so much more boring, I will say.
Yeah, I know because I was in it, and I was like, I hated everything that I did. Always I just couldn't find enjoyment in what I was doing, and it was like I forced myself to get an education and all this stuff and do all these things, which are maybe necessary, but in my mind, I wouldn't put my kids through it. I think it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I forced my way all that, and then what happened was I just basically started stripping away the things. I'm like, oh no, I don't like that. No, I don't like that. Let's try consulting. No, let's try that. No, entrepreneurship. Nope. Nope. And then even the entrepreneurship stuff that I was doing, it kept becoming more and more closer to what I actually cared about until, I don't know, 6 years ago. I don't know how long it is now, when I properly got into hypnosis as a hypnotherapist with my mentor at the time. And this was back when I was in the UK. He was in Scotland. He was one of the top hypnotherapists, as a coach as well. Just incredible at being able to help people. And that's when things started to really shift for me, because I'm like, this is the stuff that I like. I like this. Exciting. And yeah, it was just this slow, almost let's take all of this stuff away, take this stuff away, take this stuff away. What do I actually care about? What do I care about? What do I care about? And now with what I'm doing, I had 2 mentors. I'm still apprenticing with, NLP and hypnosis, but I'm using that in the field of psionics. I'm using that to help people develop and train better, faster, further than what is believed is possible.
That's so cool.
Love
that.
That's really, I know. I love the stripping away, because that's very much like a spiritual awakening. I know when I went on my journey, and obviously you still am, and still stripping, right? Because there's so much that programming, limiting beliefs, all these things that just naturally happen, from family beliefs, you carry on, societal, all the things, and it takes time to start to be like, no, I don't believe in that anymore, and it's hard. So it's completely necessary. It's needed to strip away, right? So I like that when you kind of describe it as nope, that's not me, I don't want that, this is not, to get to your true self, right? Your passion, your essence.
Yeah. Something my current mentor, James Sakalos, he was being interviewed on a podcast with someone, and he said he received one of the best interview questions he's had, and the question was, of all the things in NLP, what is the one skill, the thing that you value the most? What do you think what is the thing that you put the most value on? And his response was finding alignment, being able to find what you are aligned with.
Mhm.
And like at the time, I'm like, okay, I didn't quite grasp it. But in the last 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, as I've been doing all of that, like it's so evident, like, yes, that is such a key thing, because you can be doing things, you can start a new venture, a podcast, or you can start a new habit, like I'll I don't know, go to the gym or something. But if you don't find true alignment with yourself, you're not going to be doing that for very long,
Mhm.
And if you force it, then you're going to be resentful and you're not going to enjoy it. Like, getting to alignment is so key, because then you can really live your life with your true self, your purpose, you authentically, and not authentically for other people. I don't mean like, in that sense. I mean authentically for yourself, to love
Mhm.
love what you do and how you live.
So true.
Yeah.
Love that. That is a
Yeah.
great question, and that's just a great realization, like to be able to reflect on that. So even like inviting everybody that just to reflect on that themselves, to see, like, are they in alignment with the things that they're doing in their lives? And I think part of what we're doing as a collective is trying to move more towards our authenticity, to be able to share our authentic true selves with those in our community or those around us, and feeling safe enough to do that.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I think it's the discovery too, right? Like it's the knowing that, okay, where I'm at, this is not where I want to be, or it doesn't feel, but then it's like, but I think a lot of people get stuck on but then what is it? And then they kind of stop there, because it's like, well, what am I passionate about? And I think like the biggest part of that is like, you're going to discover that through motion, through, making changes. Like we don't have to have it all figured out and then just, this is what I'm doing. It's like, it's part of the layers. It's part of the peeling back. It's part of the trying and being like, oh yeah, I really like this, but it's not fully what I want. So now, it's being curious. Right. So, and that's where I think people need to kind of step out of their, box a bit in that.
Yeah, yes, you absolutely need to move to find it. This is key. Can I share a concept with you guys?
Yes.
Okay, this is not about telekinesis. This is back when I was coaching people and talking about this, and you shared something that resonates a lot, and maybe this, I think, will be useful for anybody listening to conceptualize this and to make sense of exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Because it's really key. The way I see alignment and finding alignment and finding what you're supposed to do. Like, for example, I'm so blessed that I'm able to do what I like. This is exactly what I want to do. I finally found it.
Yeah.
But to get there, it's exactly what you said. You have to move. So let's say you're over here, in life. If we just conceptualize, you're over here. Does that? Yeah, we can see that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Great. And let's say your alignment, your place, like where you're fully yourself, you're fully authentic, you is somewhere like over here. You basically need to get from here to here. When you're here, you have a general, you have a pretty good idea. It's like, okay, I don't like this, I don't like that. I know that. I have a pretty good idea that where I need to get to is like in this direction.
Yeah.
To get there, it doesn't happen immediately. It's going to take some time. Like life changes. You need to change your work. You need to change your location. You need to change your friends. You need to change your habits. So cool. So then what happens is, all right, I know you want to get here. And then you're like, all right, I'm going to start making changes in that direction. So you move. You start moving in that direction. Cool. Now, what happens is this might take, let's say take 3 months or maybe 6 months or a year.
Yeah.
In that time, this journey is new. it's a different journey. You're experiencing new things than what you've experienced until now, where you've been, which also means you are transforming, you are changing. And that means where you are and where you find alignment also moves. Because you're being different, and you're learning more. You're learning more about yourself, learning more about what you like, what you care about, who you are.
Yes.
But that's okay, because this time, it moves like somewhere like here. So well, it's still a long way, but it's a shorter way than what it was before. And this time, if you make the move from here, where you are now, to here, it's going to take you a bit less time. But again, you're transforming, you're changing, you're having new experiences, you're meeting different people, you're becoming a different person, you're becoming more of who you are. And of course, because you're transforming and you're changing, this again moves, but it's a shorter distance. So you took less time. So it moves a little bit less because you're starting to get closer to, reaching it.
Yeah.
And this keeps happening, and this keeps happening until at one point you get to a point where you're right there. You're right there. And you are just basically sitting in alignment, sitting right next to your authentic you.
Yeah.
And that's where you want to be, because if you are sitting exactly where you are, that means you're not changing. That means you're not developing. That means you're not transforming. You don't want to be sitting exactly on alignment, because you're not becoming better. You want to be just next to it and moving towards it.
Yeah.
And when you're there, then it's beautiful, because you're always paying attention, where am I? And it's right there. And that journey is making you grow and develop, and is changing you, and you're becoming more of you and more of who you want to be.
Absolutely. Because it's perception shifts, right? Like, I love that. I love that concept of like where you start off and then you're like, I think I kind of want to go here. But it's so true. Like through the journey of actually getting there, you're going to shift and change. You're going to heal. You're going to have different perspectives on things. And so it completely makes sense that then that goalpost or whatever it is, all of a sudden shifts. And you're like, no, actually, because once you get there, you're kind of like, I think I'm a completely different person from where I started. And that was kind of like shifts happening. And I know, like Mandy and I have said from the this is our 5th season of the podcast. And it's something that we have said along the way is like, this is, our perspective right now, but like a year or 2 down the line, that completely could change because we're growing, learning, expanding, healing, like all of the things. And so, yeah, I bet if we went back and listened to, the first season, we'd be like, oh my goodness, there's just so much more that we've learned and discovered. And I love that you're never stagnant, right? You're constantly growing and readjusting. And as new things come into your awareness, you get to decide if you want to expand on that, if you want to move with that, like even like just this, like telekinesis and stuff. I've been on the journey of, both of us were on this journey of like spiritual awakening, of connecting to our intuition, the Akashic records, learning about energy and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden, like something like this pops in and you're just like, okay, that's grabbed my attention. And then you follow it, right? You go into that flow. So I love that. I love that diagram. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not audio only podcast, so people can.
Nope, they're gonna see us.
You can see us on YouTube or on Spotify. There's video too, so anybody who's just listening audio. But let's get into some of the questions for like telekinesis, because we're so curious about that. But can you explain, first of all, for anybody who's not really sure, like what your definition of telekinesis is, or how would you describe what that means or what it is that you're doing?
Yeah, so first off, the term telekinesis isn't it's more of a, I believe it came from the Russians more. I think it came from more from the Russians because they were really experimenting this back in the 40s, 30s, even quite a while back. Over here in the West, the correct term is psychokinesis. That's what they use in research. So,
Wow.
yes, there's been a lot of research done on psychokinesis, especially micro psychokinesis, which has to do with like random number generators, where you can get the significant data more easily than like seeing something move. And there's been like hundreds and hundreds of studies. So this is definitely a thing. Like it's 2025. Anybody that thinks that the science shows that it's not true, like, no, you just probably not spent any time to actually look into it. And that's understandable. We were raised to believe that this is not possible, but it's a bit like, come on, like when people are very, no, the science says it's not possible. Like, no, the science actually says it is possible. You just haven't looked at it. You're just reiterating something you've heard.
Absolutely.
So psychokinesis, but yes, telekinesis is what I say because it's like more in the Western
Broad.
lingo. So what do I mean by telekinesis? Well, what doesn't matter so much what I mean. The way people use it is generally for something like psi wheels. Psi wheels are like little umbrellas on a toothpick or a needle. Umbrella made of tin foil or something. Like they'll have something like that. Small amount of friction, very small amount of friction, so it can spin.
With intention, right?
With intention, yes. With intention, yes. Yeah. And then you graduate from that to like moving cups or cans or pencils or like moving little things. That's generally what people call telekinesis. But I think that definition doesn't help because from there people then say electrokinesis if you're using electricity, or aerokinesis if wind, or pyrokinesis for fire, and there's all of these kinesises, but it's all the same thing. So no, don't use that. No.
Erase it. I'm like,
it's all just the same. Just people are labeling it differently. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because it's cool. People are coming back from these backgrounds of, I think, what is that show called? Airbender, The Last Avatar, or something like that.
Yeah.
Airbending, and then like, it's like, oh, it's cool. You're manipulating fire, you're manipulating water, but because especially in games, they're separate skills. But I want to move away from that because I work with beliefs and the mind, and if people are thinking, hey, I can do telekinesis, but then aerokinesis is a different skill. No, you can. It's transferable. It's the same thing.
You can do all. Yeah. Because on the Airbenders, I watched that with my boys, and it was like, you kind of had your specific, like each kind of clan or whatever had their like, oh, we do with the air, we do this with water. So, but you couldn't do all of them, type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really, really careful with definitions and words and how I frame things, because as a trainer, I present something in a certain way. I don't want to be
limiting people.
Unintentionally limiting people and putting constraints, unnecessary constraints. So
because your mission is to share basically with everybody that anybody can do this, that you're not like special, they're not specialized people out there. It's just people who've practiced are the ones that are doing it, right? But anybody can learn to do that. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. And I don't mean, so how do I put this? So first off, there's a small amount of us that believe that this stuff is real. Great, awesome. Those are the people that I want to work with. I'm not trying to prove it's real to anyone. Like they find the proof themselves, or there's other people trying to prove it. That's cool.
Yeah.
What I'm pushing for is to work with people that believe in that this stuff is real, but that believe it takes a long time to train these things and to develop these things. So already our culture, our society makes us, we have decades of conditioning that this is science, physical matter is first, then consciousness comes out of the brain working and neurons firing, and that's how consciousness exists. Okay, so everything is like it's a materialist view. We have decades and decades of this conditioning, So to be able to start teleporting an object, or like, sticking things to walls, or magnetizing things that shouldn't be magnetized, like how do you get to that? People like, whoa, this is crazy. But then if you believe that, then you're dealing with the next set of conditioning. And the next set of conditioning that we have is to do something like that. Well, the only time I've ever seen anybody like that do it was that documentary on the Discovery Channel back whenever, where they brought in that Shaolin monk that spent 50 years meditating every day and doing like all of these things, and like being in silence on a mountain, and only then was he able to move something. Like, whoa, hold on, guys, this is just as bad. This is just as bad. This is limiting us just as much. Who's gonna? I ain't doing that. There's no way I'm gonna be on the mountain or meditating for like 8 hours a day. I've done it. I've done meditation retreats with that goal in mind, but no. That's my mission, to get rid of those social conditions, that social conditioning that makes us think that we need to meditate. That makes meditation is healthy. It's great. It's like having a healthy diet. I recommend it. But you don't need it. You don't need to have a diet of a vegan diet. That's another thing. You don't need to be spiritual. You don't need to be religious. You don't need to be. You don't need to be any of these things. You don't need to be. You don't need to have anything passed on by a special lineage or anything like that. This is immediately available to all of us, and we've been every training we have been pushing the boundaries, and we've been breaking past limits that we've hit in past trainings. Each time we've been going further and further. So that's what I'm about, like changing that aspect.
That narrative, right? That narrative around that, and which is completely true. Like we say that in aspects of connecting to your intuition, your clairs, your, these things that we think like, only somebody born with it, can do this. And so when you say that, I'm like, it's just like, we are all born with the same abilities, the same, if we choose to access it, right? And we all have that right to access it if we choose to do that. And so I think it's like making it that simplistic, like it's as simple as that. And there's no belief that needs to happen. There's no, unlocking or anything like that. Like Mandy and I would always laugh, like because we were teaching others. So like, doing intuition courses. So teaching people how to connect to their clairs, how to, see, feel, hear, and start to like, learn how to access their intuition and practice it. And one of the main ones is like where people get really stuck is like the third eye, and they're like, well, I want it to open, and we're like, do you like, it's not this like, Mandy, you always kind of said it as like, it's not like this like big celebration, like boom, your third eye's open and now you're seeing the world all different. It is like the most subtle thing that you've probably had your whole life, and it's just your imagination center. It's just right there. But we expect a grandiose of like, now I'm a psychic. Thing,
It's the difference between a digital process and an analog process. Digital process is like on off, like activated, not activated, open third eye, not open third eye. Like no, it's there. Just paying more attention to it.
It's more of a subtle realization. Be like, oh, it's been open for a long time. That's what that is. So I'm curious, Alex, when you're practicing Intuit or the telekinesis, or the little tasks that you have your students do, would you say that once people start recognizing there's the strength with their intention and how their brain is actually working and being able to like release some of those societal programs, like the first layer, kind of what you talked about, would you say that this is life-changing for them because it's creating like a snowball effect on how they are perceiving the world, or how they're perceiving how much power they truly have within themselves to live the life and create a reality that they really want or align with?
First off, yes, but Mandy, that's a loaded question, because like presupposing I'm going to answer yes, but yes, you're right with presupposing that. Here's how I'll explain it from a psychological perspective. Because I've been asked that question before, like, what's the point of being able to do this? And like, what's the point of being able to move a little foil or move a cup on the table, or something else we do on trainings is being able to see with a blindfold on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the point of that? You can just open your eyes, like.
I can see somebody's rationale where they're like, you've got the easy part, just open your eyes. Yeah.
It's beyond that.
But here's the thing, right? For me, it's really evident because I work with belief. I work with the unconscious mind, and like when I used to do coaching, or when I used to do therapy work with people, I would try to find what's going on, like what's happening, what's the belief that's holding people back or blocking them, or what's the belief that's causing anxiety or hurting them. And it's incredible how you can switch. You can find a belief here, and then you change this, you turn it into something good, and then that fear of not being loved, for example, can translate into things that you would never expect, like being able to drive more cautiously and less aggressively, or being more punctual. So there's this weird interrelationship among all of your beliefs and how you operate in the world. So it's all linked together because things are built on top of each other. For example, like for multiplication to be true, you have to know what addition,
Yeah.
And if you change the rules of addition, then multiplication is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody that has, and that's like, that's like grade 2 or 3 math, I don't know. But imagine like you do a PhD in math.
Yeah.
And you're like adding new rules. So like you like addition this is the way it works. Then you add multiplication. Then you add powers. Then you add algebra. Then you add trigonometry. Then you add calculus. And then all of these other things, which I don't even know where they go. Years. This is how we live. This is how our lives are made up. Our lives are made up of years and years and years and years of beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So think of the belief that we have of, physical reality works in a certain way. You can't affect physical matter with your mind. You can't teleport objects. You can't pass an object through another object. You can't receive non-local information and an intuition. That's the usual stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then we take that belief that is at the foundation, that is like addition for math. It's a foundational belief. This is how we are. These things are built and pushed into our minds. They're forced into us. These ideas. We're laughed at if we believe in magic. We're laughed at.
Yeah.
We're scoffed at. We're shunned.
Mm-hmm.
And then we take that belief and switch it into something completely different, the exact opposite. All of that stuff is wrong. All of that stuff is possible, actually.
Mm.
Well, you have years of year 2 math, year 3 math, year 6 math, year 12 math, your undergrad math, your master's, your PhD math. All that stuff collapses down. The changes on somebody's mind, on their life, will resonate throughout the rest until their dying days. It will resonate in their children, in their children's children, because of genetics, because of what you teach them. This will have such a profound effect on all levels.
That's such a great way to explain that. So thank you. I love the visual that you give. Like, it's the foundation. Like, basically you're shifting the foundation of somebody's belief systems when they're learning and experiencing how to shift energy, or the telekinesis part. And you're right, it is shifting so profoundly at the foundational level that it will ribbon through generations ahead. Because that will shift how they parent, how they speak, how they show up in their world, and how they manage relationships moving forward. So it is very transformational. So it's not even just about learning how to move objects intentionally. It's so much more than that, as you explained. So that's so cool. Thank you.
It's just dismantling what we're kind of based off of, or our reality. And when you can dismantle parts of our reality, then you start to see because it's easier to then dismantle many other parts that we kind of are stuck in society, right? Like there's like Mandy and I were just talking beforehand, like talking about how like some of these bigger systems are, crumbling because can no longer kind of move forward with the way, the foundation of how we've done things, right? Moving forward. And kind of like we were like, oh man, finally it's going to crumble. But then we were laughing because it was like, to us, it's like finally, because we know there needs to be a shift in the world. But to others, it's scary, it's panicky. It's like, what? Like you're taking away our foundation of how we've always known it. And I think like that right there, you're proving where you're like, okay, if we've just proven that this is not the way it is, what else? There's so much more possibilities of what else can be changing, shifting, and be true that we just dismiss, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the problems that we have in the world at the moment, things that are happening, whatever comes to everybody's mind, because everybody thinks of different things, regardless of what they are, they're created from a certain level of a way of thinking, a certain level of, let's say, reality. The problems are coming from a way that society is built, a way that we govern ourselves, a way that we elect, a way that that the economy runs. All of these things are on this level of consciousness. You cannot solve a problem from the same level of consciousness. You have to be coming at it from a higher level. So that's why I feel this work that we're doing, and by we I mean everybody in the community, in the Psi community that is pushing this. This is extremely important because this stuff sits at a different level of consciousness, and I believe that the stuff that we're doing will change humanity and the world for the better. And I'll tell you why I'm almost 100% certain on this. So are you guys familiar with Lidu, Dahlia's daughter?
No, so I've seen Dahlia, and so she's been on the telepathy tapes, correct?
Yeah.
And it's her daughter. Yes. Okay, so
yep, her daughter is autistic. She's nonverbal. She's telepathic, extremely telepathic. She can speak to entities, to on the other side. She visits me in my dreams. She teaches me telepathy in my dreams.
Wow.
And they've done a lot of experiments and research. They've worked with a lot of researchers, institutions, Dahlia and her daughter, including Dr. Diane Hennessy-Powell. And they've proven all this stuff. So it's very well documented.
Oh, yeah.
Something that Lidu said is that telekinesis and the blindfold vision stuff opens energetic channels that allow for telepathy to happen more easily. Tali and I, initially, we were going to do these trainings, and it was going to be me doing telekinesis and hypnosis and all this stuff, and her doing the blindfold vision stuff. It's Lidu that said the teachers, the people that are helping us on the other side, are asking us to also do telepathy and are asking us to include telepathic exercises. We're like, okay, cool. We don't know how to do that, but okay, sure. That's when we do, and we start getting visitations in our dreams, and we start learning techniques like processes of how to do stuff and teach. But this is where the real mission comes in. So like real profound mission. Telepathy is how we know it is like mind-to-mind communication. It goes beyond that. It's also about being able to communicate feelings, emotions, intent. And what does that mean? That means you learn how to communicate love. You learn how to communicate care, kindness. How often do we argue with people that we really love, and we say nasty things because we are not at the same time communicating just how much we love them? I reckon most people probably love their neighbor. Like, I don't wish my neighbor anything ill, anything bad. In fact, I wish the best to them, the absolute best to them. But I never tell them that. I never tell them that I love them. I never tell them that I care about them. I've never been told that by my neighbor. But that feeling actually exists, and I reckon that exists among most of us. Now, imagine if we all develop telepathy to such a degree where, I can feel that my neighbor loves me, and I have like 8 neighbors around me. Imagine I can feel the love of 8 neighbors all the time, and they can feel the same kind of love. Holy moly, what would happen then to the world? What would happen then to the world and to society? Like, that is paradigm shifting. That changes absolutely everything, and that's what this is about. That's what we're about, and that's why we're training this kind of stuff.
That I'm like, as you were talking, and and even saying, like, like how, like, with our loved ones or people that we love, and we get in arguments and all that stuff, and it completely made me realize that just verbal communication is restrictive in itself. That you think it's just like, oh yeah, like, we can talk and let's just talk it out, and that is so open. But you're right, this is a restrictive way of communicating, because how many times do you have a conversation with your partner, your friend, and it's taken the wrong way? Because we're all coming from a different, right? You may be like, that's not what I was trying to say. And so really, there's so much restriction even in just that, because if we didn't have that barrier, then you would have that fluidity between two people, that there'd be no misunderstandings, right?
Oh, that would be the world. I often have a hard time expressing with words what I'm feeling, and always wish that I could just portray what I'm trying to express through instead. Because you're right, Ali, like, a lot of times our words will get misconstrued or taken the wrong way, or they'll come out in the tone that you didn't mean it to. And it would be being able to communicate through telepathic emotion, like that would just be amazing.
Well, and it's even the receiver, right?
Yeah.
Like, you could say something, and then we have all these filters. So I have my little filters of, like, how I perceive things, and then somebody else has their little filters of how they perceive. And so it's so much opportunity for error in this communication cord because of that. So that I never thought of the idea of, like, telepathy in that sense, like literally breaking down all the walls of communication. Like, that's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
How do you, speaking of telepathy, Alex, how are you guys practicing telepathy then? Can you share a little bit about, and do you practice it in your training sessions?
Yeah. So we have, the next one is in Sedona, in February, and we're going to be introducing a lot of the trainings and exercises that we've been working on. Valley and I have been working on. So we want to make sure that there's a mix of, like, actual exercises, but also play. That's really important. First of all, like, it can't be, learning is difficult when it's rote learning. You're not picking up as much. If dopamine isn't being fired off, the neurons are not going to, the pathways are not going to stick. So dopamine is an incredible hormone to allow for learning and development to happen. It's not just a reward hormone. So there needs to be fun, So the exercise that we have, it has a mix of, like, stuff that is a little bit more of an exercise kind of feel for it, and other ones that are more playful and, like, you're kind of messing around with it. And it mixes as well. Like, we try to, because you can hear words, you can hear somebody say something, but you can also sense, you can also kind of feel what somebody's thinking or saying, or wants to transmit across. You can also see as well words coming up, so that's also possible. So you can get all of your senses involved in this. So we have different exercises to to encourage the development and the flourishing of any of these senses. And it's always important to design the exercises in such a way that you can allow for progression to happen. And what I mean by that is, one that doesn't help is, for example, hey, guess a number that I'm thinking of, 1 to 100. Like, it's unless you're already really good, it's a small chance you're going to get that.
It's hard.
Yeah. So something more appropriate is like, guess a number that I'm thinking of between 1 and 2.
Mm.
You know, it's like you've got a pretty good chance of getting it right, and you work on getting over 50%, so that probability is clearly in your favor. And then you increase that, and you keep increasing it, and you add in fun, you add in different modalities, you add in breaks and stuff, and everything.
So you start on the micro, and so you were just talking about, like, you're talking about the clairs. So that's something that we talk about often, is like, you can hear and you can see and you can feel. That's your clairaudience, your clairsentience, your clairvoyance. So those are all, increasing your psychic senses as well. So the practices and the training that you do, like, partner really well with the stuff that Ali and I talk about often.
Mm-hmm.
Opening up your psychic senses, and then when your channel is open, you become more sensitive. Then things like telepathy and just your knowing and your channel is just more fine-tuned, and you find yourself evolving into living more in alignment with your higher self, or your true self, and living more authentically. So it's just a beautiful way to continue that, or to practice that, and to become more aware of it. It's all a journey about coming back to yourself and to who you truly are. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that is, we really quickly, get off that track, and we miss it.
Absolutely. I'm like, I could feel like some people like thinking, okay, so with telepathy, how do you have privacy? You know what I mean? Like, because that's would be a true, I think anybody would be like, oh, like, okay, let's just strip this back. So whenever I tell somebody that's not in this kind of world, and I'll be like, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm an intuitive, and one of the first things is kind of like, are you reading my mind right now? And then they get freaked out, and then they act weird around you, right? And then I'm just like, oh my gosh, no, like, what? I'm not doing that. So with telepathy, I think that's probably one of maybe the biggest resistance for some people to have that, because they don't feel like they have the privacy, or
Yeah.
So how do you the boundaries of it?
Yeah, that's totally true. And it's not going to be, because it's paradigm shifting, this isn't going to be a journey without some turbulence. Like, anything that completely changes how we do things is going, like, any sort of change, like, our systems are made for homeostasis. So like, we're made to have everything remaining the same, and there's no change. That's what we like. So any sort of change is stressful and turbulent, and we'll have to navigate it somehow. Things will be navigated somehow. There will probably be people that will cross lines accidentally or intentionally, even. Yeah, that's definitely going to happen. My experience, it seems like if you have negative intent, things don't seem to really work very well. And things might work at the beginning, but then it's almost like it's almost like they're testing to see if you stick to your bad ways or if you change. So I'm not really concerned about that sort of thing, because I don't think people with negative intent are really going to. I don't think they can succeed, to be honest. And something I didn't get a chance to say is, on the trainings, Lidu, Dali's daughter, brings in teachers, other entities, and other kids also into the training to help everyone open up. So we are getting support. We're getting support on the training for people to open up and have telepathic communication. So that's happening. So anybody that for who is doing this, like if you're doing it on your own, you're probably not going to be very good at it. It's not going to happen very easily. And we think that we live in this ecosystem where we're separate. Like if we weren't talking right now, and I was just alone in my room, like most people are like, I'm just alone in my room. But at least according to Lidu and according to a lot of different mystical traditions, it seems like we probably have at least like 5 to 10 things around us all the time. And
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this idea that, that there's privacy is like, that's not actually happening. And anything that we're doing, though, also, because it's an ecosystem, if we're doing something that is for the benefit of the rest of the ecosystem, those 5, 10 things that are around me, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to help Alex to do a good job. Like, probably right now, they're probably saying, like, hey, I'm going to help him say what he needs to say in a way that actually resonates with people. And I thank you for that help. And that's probably so. To develop these things requires probably some help. And so coming back to your question, I'm not really concerned. Like, people will make mistakes with it.
Yeah.
But mistakes they make, like, if it's not with a negative intent, it is what it is. Like, life goes on, there's always going to be mistakes around, and we're going to learn. And as a species, we're going to grow, like humans together as a collective, we're going to grow, and we'll do it together.
Yeah.
I think
absolutely.
I'm just going to add to that too, Alex, where I think anybody that's drawn to learning how to open up their clairs and understand telepathy and practice and put themselves in a position like the movement that we're talking about is going to be at a certain frequency where they're more heart-centered than somebody who's not into this sort of thing. And then with that being said, somebody who's more heart-centered they might receive an energy from somebody in their orbit that is lower, or maybe denser. Yes, we're able to just easily know that they're, maybe unhealed in some areas, but the person who's more heart-centered isn't going to look at them with judgment. They're going to look at them with compassion and empathy. So I feel like that isn't something that needs to be a concern for people who are moving forward with, becoming more telepathic beings, because when they come across somebody who's a little bit denser, they're gonna want to help them. They're gonna have compassion and empathy for those people, and maybe even want to try to help heal them, whatever it is that they're struggling with, because that's going to be obvious, right?
Okay, yeah. Switch. I'm gonna push this narrative a little. This is what I do. I go from one side to the other. Okay. Because I totally agree with that, right? Like, I agree with that aspect. Now, what I've noticed is the more sensitive I've become, the more I do pick up on people's feelings, intents, and all of those things. And there's this idea sometimes where, like, ignorance is bliss. I don't want to know what somebody's thinking of me. Do you know what I mean? Like, how when you're kind of like, you go to a friend and you're like, oh my God, did you hear that this person said this and this and this? And sometimes you're like, I don't need to know that, because that's just like a negative thing. And even if you can be like, I know that's coming from a wounded place or whatever. So sometimes you don't want to know those things. Or like, say like you're with your partner and they've done something that's kind of like ticked you off, but you're not ready to vocalize it. Or maybe you never are ready to vocalize it. It's though, that's where I'm like, where it gets down to those like micros in relationships, where sometimes it's like liar, where where Jim Carrey couldn't lie. And sometimes you're like, some things need to just stay inside type of thing. So that's where I'm like, my human brain has a hard time getting over that concept of just normal interactions with people that maybe it's not necessary for them to hear, because it's one of your own wounded things, but all of a sudden they're hearing it. So there's a key word you said there: normal interactions. So what we're talking about is still, we're talking about on that level of consciousness, where we're operating in a way of like,
telepathy doesn't exist, and if one person in the world has telepathy, or just like 100 or 1,000 or whatever, but other people
Yeah.
don't, it's going to be pretty weird for them. It's going to be
Yeah.
weird. It's like, oh yeah, this person thinks this about me, this person thinks that about me.
Yeah.
Even for them though, I think it's amazing, because then they can do a lot of shadow work, and they can work on that stuff. And I think any sort of challenge that we have, any sort of struggle, as long as we are not choosing to stop,
Mhm.
grow, then whatever that is going to be of benefit. We will grow, and we will learn things from it. So I firmly believe that.
Mm.
Going back to the other thing, the normal, it's normal interactions, but if you consider everybody is slowly increasing that,
Yeah.
then I reckon things are going to be a little bit different. Interactions are going to be a bit different, because if I feel love from you right now,
Mhm.
and you feel love from me, how much of a negative thing can I really be thinking about towards you? Like,
Yeah.
if he really loves you, can you really have negative thoughts about them?
No.
That's pretty.
You can be annoyed by things,
Yeah.
right? Like you can be annoyed by things, like kind of like, oh man, I love you, but
And
when you do this.
and even that, so like when you do this,
Yeah.
presupposes that they've done it in the past. But if there's that flow of communication, it'll happen once. That person's gonna be like, oh, sorry, you didn't I like that, that was something. And they'll be like, and they'll also be able to understand why you didn't like that.
Mm.
Because if you try to explain, yeah, no, I didn't like that because of whatever,
Yeah.
it's come across properly.
Yeah.
But we understand what's going on. So then that'll change.
And they'll feel what it feels like when they do that thing that happens to you, right? Like I think that's like a huge one too, because like when you don't understand, like I know if it's like, oh, when you do this, it really makes me feel like this, and when that person has no idea because they've never felt that before, it's very hard to relate to that. But you're right, like if they feel how it made you feel, it's like, oh gosh, now you fully embody and understand what those actions were. So yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, it's just it's an energetic conversation that that you would be having. And I don't think that telepathy exists in the third dimension. I think this is a fifth dimensional experience. And again, going back to the frequency that you need to be within in order to experience the fifth dimension and all that comes along with it, I don't think you're going to have those issues where there's judgment. Because when you're afraid that what you don't want to know what people are saying about you, it's because it's rooted in judgment, right? And that's not a frequency that exists, I'd say, in the fifth dimension. So I don't even think you need to worry about it.
Yeah.
And for example, so Lidu has this ability, like she's able to like see everything, and a lot of these kids have this ability to just see everything in someone. And like, take me for example. How have I been blessed enough to, want for them to want to help me teach this? Like how did that happen? And I say I'm totally open. Like you can see everything about me. There's nothing hidden. And that's even with like I'm not a perfect person. I'm not a, I have so many flaws. I have so many. Of course I have an ego. Of course I have all of these things that are all normal. Yet nevertheless, these Lidu, who's absolutely incredible person, incredible being, she still loves me, and she still like accepts me with all of my issues and flaws. So when you're on that level, it's like you can understand why somebody has their flaws and why somebody has their issues, and I'm okay with her knowing all of that, because I understand that she's understanding,
Yeah, where she's coming from. How old is Lidu?
16.
I'm like, that's just like, it's so beautiful. I kind of came across my niece has autism, and I've gone in and read her energy, and and one of the things that is kind of like become clear is like it feels like children that are being born, maybe nonverbal, autistic, whatever label we want to put on, it feels like they're higher vibrational beings that are here to come shift our reality and our world. And it's crazy because they've come into this world where we've labeled them, and in this society, right, it was kind of like, oh, well, they're not as high functioning as we are, but in reality they are shifting and changing how this world kind of grows. And so, and I've felt this for a long time, especially reading my niece and seeing, like, you know, her soul. It's first time on Earth, but definitely an old soul. But you know, some of the physical attributes that happen, where like like she doesn't like things touching her, like has it's a lot of hard things to be here. And I'm like, oh, it's like her soul, the density of it it's just, there's so much density that she needs to be out in nature. She needs to, you know, she looks like that paper bag princess that's just like, give me the frog, and wants all the things. And it's like, and she doesn't fit, take off her clothes if she could, you know, like, and it's because she's not from this world, right? But coming here to like teach us these things. And that's when I saw like the telepathy tapes and have heard that. And then you're telling me about Lidu, and I'm just like, it's exactly what they're here. They're here. They're transforming the world, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow.
The space to do that. Now, I know we need to wrap up soon, but you know, before we started recording, I had to jump off because my microphone wasn't working. And I came back in, and you guys were talking about something that you really wanted to touch on, Alex, in the conversation. Have we touched on that?
Yeah, part of it. So part of the message of why we're doing it. Yes, there's something else though, and thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So on our training, so the one coming up in Sedona, this is probably going to come out during that time, so it'll probably be too late, but this is for future trainings. On the one in Sedona, we are trying to fill up, we have 3 spaces for people that are legally blind to come to the training, and with scholarships as well. Because on the last training we held, there were 3 legally blind people. One was blind from birth, one was blind from 3 and had prosthetic eyes, and another one was blind for, I think, 17 years or 15 years. They were all reading by the end of the 6 days. They were all able to see colors, they were able to see shapes, they were able to read big letters, but they were able to read. And one of them, it was the first time that he saw his daughter as well.
Oh, I just got goosebumps.
Me too.
Oh my God.
It was, you can imagine, it was a very emotional moment.
Yeah.
So we're doing this. Dahlia's doing this. Dahlia spent a lot of time with them and really managed to make that happen. And we have 3 spaces on the Sedona event. 1 is filled. We're still looking for 2 more. By the time this gets out, it's probably going to be too late.
When's Sedona?
Yeah.
February 1st to the 7th.
Okay. Very first.
And I just want to get that out there. If this does come out before that, and we still have spaces, to go to our website and apply. There's a form underneath the request info button for Sedona. There's another one for, like, if you're legally blind, apply here. But the reason I'm also mentioning this is because we're going to try to do this as often as we can, as often as we have the capacity to offer these scholarships. We'll do these on these trainings. Yeah. So please, share this, because it'll change somebody's life. Like, it's not just about what can happen if you move something or see without a blindfold. Like, in this case, it's huge for some people.
Yeah, it's that's amazing.
Yeah. So they healed their sight in a sense when so they weren't just seeing with their third eye, like with their inner eye, they're seeing with their physical eyes.
They were seeing with their physical eyes. We even had a neuroscientist who was brain mapping one of them, and he saw that when he was actually seeing with that, what is it? I believe the parietal lobe at the back, the one in charge of sight, was lighting up.
Wow.
And he's the one who was blind from 3.
Wow.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So what is the website that people can go to check out your trainings, and this one in particular?
It's www.extra-, extraordinaries.com. They can find it there. It's a Sedona training. We're gonna have some other ones up because there's a lot of demand. Also, people like want to learn and do this like at home. I'm trying to share everything I know and everything how I do this and how we do this. I'm trying to share it on my Instagram. My Instagram is alex.imxo, XO for extraordinary. It's probably going to change to something else, so check like Alex Stefan something else. I want to use my first and last name, so it might change by the time this comes out. But on that, I'm trying to share everything that we do in the trainings and how I do things and how the principles, the methodology, the process. Because I want this information out there as much as possible to everyone. It's not. This needs to. The more people that are able to do this, everyone else, and then the further we can do that, we can push this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's definitely check out the TikTok, Instagram, all of that. Because like I've already picked up some different things. Like, today I am going to try to stick a card against the wall and make it stick. And I'm just, it's fascinating. So you can learn so much just by all of that. And so I know I'm very grateful for you that you're sharing this in this aspect that people can start trying at home just to expand type of thing. That's amazing. So thank you for that.
Yes. Thank you for the in this world. It's beautiful work and it's so needed. And it's a different way to teach people how to reconnect to themselves and find I love it. It's a fun way to do it too. So wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Our trainings are super fun. There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of laughs. Yeah.
Are you doing more trainings in the new year? Like how many do you plan for 2026 already?
Plans, we're going like one at a time basically. Because it's like I can only do so much. I'm doing most of the planning and stuff. But ideally I want to get as many as we can out. I'm hoping for 8 this year, but more than 8 out. Like if people can help, can do stuff, reach out. I'm happy to work with someone if they're in a different part of the world. Like I want to get as many trainings out as possible. Absolutely, like to do as many as we can because that's what's going to move the needle.
Yeah.
And is it all over, or is it only like
in the US?
So we have the next one's in Sedona, Arizona. Then we have another one planned with which I don't know if I should be saying just yet, but it'll be in Salt Lake City.
Okay.
With a university. And then we are thinking about, we're in talks for Australia, we're in talks for Bali, we're in talks for UK, for Spain, Canada. But I need help to
do it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so that's good to know that that's kind of like it's not just like one spot, that there's opportunity, or there's that chance that it can be where somebody is, and kind of watch for it. Yeah, I love that.
Maybe come to the Bali one.
There's gonna be a lot of additional things to that one.
That would be so fun. I've always wanted to go there. I'm like, that would be amazing. I know. I'm like, I've seen some of the videos of the teachings, right? And everybody in there. And yeah, like it's so much fun. Like it looks like so much fun. So I think that would be amazing. I'm excited to see how that grows.
Me too.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for being here, Alex. We really appreciate your time. And all that you're doing for the world. And please, everybody, follow Alex on Instagram. Check out his website. And if you're in a position to help him get his message and his trainings out there, please reach out to him because it is so needed in this world. So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. This was really fun. Thank you very much for having me on the podcast. This was really, really a very enjoyable conversation.
Awesome. Thank you.